Hi people, welcome back to Walking Dead Wednesdays. Today's video is going to be about episode 3 of season 7, The Cell. And this episode was pretty much Daryl and the Sanctuary. And wow, it was a weird episode. I feel like nothing happened, but I feel like a lot happened, which is kind of a bit like the Kingdom. Like, we found out a lot about the Sanctuary and how it works, but then there were so many other things that we didn't really find out about the Sanctuary. So yeah, Daryl was taken by Negan and he is basically being held prisoner at the Sanctuary. So the episode starts up and we see Dwight. Yep, Dwight. Lovely, lovely Dwight. Oh, how we love him so much. And he's watching TV. Yeah, because in the Sanctuary, in the zombie apocalypse, you can still have TV. And he's wearing Daryl's vest. I mean, of course he is. I mean, he's clearly in love with Daryl. He's got he wants to wear his clothes, he wants to use his weapon. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And we see a little bit about how the Sanctuary works. It's kind of a bit like prison, in the sense that when you're in prison nowadays, it doesn't really feel like a punishment. You get your own nice warm bed, you get to watch TV, there's like recreation rooms where you get to play table tennis and table football and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a prison for them. Clearly we know how Negan works and he rules like with an iron fist. So they are prisoners essentially, but they kind of have quite a cushy life really when you think about it. And when you see what Dwight does, Dwight gets to pick some fresh tomatoes, he's got some nice pickles, they're getting chickens, they've got chickens and they've got eggs. They've got all these things, yet they still feel the need to go to all these places and ask them for half of their stuff. It's clearly not needed. They don't need that stuff. They're not in desperate need for that stuff. If anything, the Sanctuary could be giving half of their stuff to all the communities that they're trading with and still have enough for their own people. But you know, that's Negan and that's how he works. He's just a greedy little man who wants everything, or at least half of everything. And we basically see, you know, we're giving them ample opportunities to redeem Dwight for us, but they keep just knocking them back and making him worse. He's done all this stuff to Daryl, he shot Denise, then he shot Daryl, then he was gonna kill Daryl in the bat scene where Abraham and Glenn died. And now he's making a lovely sandwich, lovely fresh sandwich with fresh vegetables. There's a pregnant lady standing by his bed and I'm thinking, oh, he's making a nice meal. He's got this fresh bread, these fresh tomatoes, fresh lettuce. He's gonna make this nice meal for this pregnant lady. Is he hell? He eats it for himself. Again, you're not gonna make me feel sorry for Dwight, you're not gonna make me have sympathy for him, you're not gonna ever make me like him if you carry on making him an arsehole. And then what you would think prison really is like, that is the situation that Daryl has found himself in. Yes, there was one part in the episode where I'm sure all the Daryl fangirls were sort of happy about. He was naked, but it wasn't in like a nice way. And you know, Daryl himself definitely didn't want to be in that situation. So yeah, Daryl finds himself in a situation where that is how you would think that people who go to prison should be treated. They should be punished for the wrongdoings that they've done. So Daryl is holed up in this cell and Dwight comes and brings him along some bread and some dog food. I mean, the bread would have done just fine, you know, but he had to sort of lay it on thick and add that extra layer of humiliation with the dog food. And Daryl, of course, because he's hungry and it's an apocalypse and he hasn't had that much to eat anyway, just takes it and eats it. And they're also playing on repeat a song about Easy Street. I don't even want to look up the song to see where it's actually from because it was like playing on a loop and my mind was going crazy. But yeah, that is torturous for them. So when Dwight goes and takes him to the doctor to get him sorted, because, you know, a couple of days ago Dwight happened to just shoot him in the shoulder and he's still not really got that fixed, we get to the doctor's office and there is Sherry, Dwight's wife, who helped Dwight rob from Daryl and steal his bike and steal everything and get away with it. And it looks like she's just gone in for a pregnancy test, but it's negative. And Dwight is still being the arsehole that he is, saying don't talk to him, blah 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 blah. And she seems, you know, she helped him in episode 6, season 6, and she was horrible then, but she's very soft with Daryl, and she seems like she's all right. She's not Dwight. Don't associate her with Dwight anymore, because I don't think that is her anymore. So I don't know, I'm kind of warming up to her a little bit, and I think she'll be a redeemable character. I think in this episode there are, you know, step by step she has begun to redeem herself. Don't think that's going to happen with Dwight. We'll see, but I think Sherry has definitely started to redeem herself. So Negan's a lovely, pleasant chap with Dwight, isn't he? No, not so much. So obviously Dwight or somebody, I don't know if Dwight himself would have told Negan the Eugene chomping story, because I think he would have been a bit embarrassed about that, but I'm sure one of the men who was with Dwight at the time would have told Negan. So naturally Negan, being the horrible person that he is, starts like taunting Dwight and embarrassing him about it, and basically kind of gives a little bit of backstory on himself that we see a lot of in the comics, with him basically having like women that he can like have sex with whenever he wants, and he is offering that to Dwight as well. He's offering him a pic of any woman, and as long as she says yes, you can have sex with them for free. But Dwight is like, no, I don't want to. The reason for that, we don't know. It could be because he still wants to be with Sherry. It could be because he really can't do anything like that anymore after what Eugene did to him. It could be for some other completely unknown reason. So Negan asks Dwight to do him a favour and basically go and get a runaway saviour. Basically exactly like Dwight did. People came to fetch him to bring him back home. He's now got to go and do the same for Negan. Negan does say to him that somebody else can do it, but for some reason Dwight wants to prove himself to Negan, so he decides, no, I will go and get this person back. So while Dwight's off going to do that, he is normally the one who brings Daryl his nice dog food sandwich, and he's not there to do that this time, so this other guy comes and brings it to him, and after he's brought it to him, he shuts the door to the cell, but he doesn't lock it. If it was bait, Daryl takes the bait and he escapes out of his cell and is walking down the corridors trying to find a way out, and Sherry finds him again, but instead of turning him in, she tells him to go back to the cell. She doesn't turn him in, but she doesn't encourage him to escape either. She urges him to go back to the cell and just take whatever Negan is currently giving him, because if he tries to escape, what Negan will then start doing to him is going to be worse. But Daryl, you know, he still kind of holds this grudge towards Sherry and Dwight after everything that's happened, so he ignores her and he goes outside. He sees that there's a load of motorcycles, which is his heaven, and he goes to try and get one, but he gets caught. So Negan comes along and he basically starts asking the saviors who have caught Daryl, who are you? And they respond with Negan, and Negan basically tells Daryl that, you know, not only has he kind of got these guys under the thumb, he himself is everywhere and knows everything, because these guys are loyal to him and they are him, therefore they will always tell him what's going on and they'll always follow him, which means that he is always number one and at the top. And then Negan almost literally inches away from bashing Daryl's head in with Lucille. And yeah, I was not prepared for that. I was not ready for that. Again, I've always said that I'm confident that I don't think Daryl is going to die anytime soon, at least for a couple of seasons at least in The Walking Dead. But still, that he still was so close, and he swung, and Negan is Negan and he'll do what he does, and he swung and he almost, and my heart stopped. But he didn't. Daryl is still alive. Daryl has not received the Lucille treatment, but he gets roughed up a bit by the Saviors and slung back into his cell. So when Dwight catches this other guy who's ran away, he tempts him back by blackmail, basically saying that he'll make all of his friends at the sanctuary go and work at the fence where all the walkers are, where it's dangerous. He'll dig up his dead wife and feed it to the crows. And the guy is like, okay, I'll come with you. And then it seems like Dwight has a change of heart and he shoots the guy. Now I thought, because we've already seen that Dwight has the burn mark on his face. If you've read the comics, you already know how and why that came about. In the comic, they do it to somebody at the sanctuary and you basically figure out that, oh, that's how Dwight got his mark on his face. And I thought, well, we saw Dwight had ran away and he didn't have the mark on his face. Then when he came back after he'd killed Denise, he had the mark on his face. So to me, the mark on his face represented that in the TV show they were going to have it that if you ran away, that is how Negan punished you. So I thought that Dwight was going to bring this guy back, Negan was going to give him the iron on his face, and that's how we would find out kind of how Dwight got it. But then Dwight goes and shoots this guy, so I thought, okay, so we're not gonna exactly see it like that. And I thought maybe Dwight had redeemed himself a little bit. No, he didn't. Because at the end of the episode, we see that the guy that he shot, he didn't shoot him in the head and just like kill him for good, even though that's not a great thing, you know, to kill someone for good. I think the guy would have been grateful that he shot him because he didn't want to go back to life at the sanctuary. But he had to go back to life at the sanctuary because it looks like Dwight shot him in his back. Didn't touch his head, so he did die, but he came back as a walker, and now he is permanently at the sanctuary because they have him chained up at the fence. Well done, Dwight, you had that one little moment to redeem yourself and you shat all over it. Good going. But then we do find out how Dwight got the iron to his face, and it is a similar situation to what I thought. So he ran away, he came back, and Sherry, his wife, who, as you can see throughout the episode, has been kind of acting more soft and more helping towards Daryl, and Negan basically tells him this long story, because we know how Negan loves the sound of his own voice and he loves to tell these stories. We basically find out that after they'd ran away, or rather before they'd ran away, Tina, Sherry's sister, we obviously know that she needed medicine, and Negan basically told her, I'll give you medicine if you marry me. She said she'd think about it, and then the next thing you know, the three of them had ran off. Obviously Tina died in episode 6, but when the two of them came back, Sherry begged Negan not to kill Dwight, and she said, I'll marry you instead. You wanted Tina to marry you, I'll marry you instead. And Negan describes her as Dwight's super hot wife, so he's not going to pass up on that offer, is he? So he accepts her marriage proposal, but he also decides that obviously Dwight needs to be punished for running away, so he gives him the iron to the face. And then Negan asks Daryl, who are you? And the answer that Daryl needs to give in order to not be punished anymore is Negan. But that's not Daryl. That's not him. He's not. He said to Dwight earlier in the episode, I'm not gonna bend the knee. I'm not gonna. Negan is nothing to me. So when he said Daryl in response to Who Are You. Obviously, I was happy that he was still remaining true to himself and he wasn't bowing down to Negan or anything like that. But in one sense, it makes me really happy. In another sense, it makes me really scared for what's still to come for Daryl and his future, because, you know, Negan did everything that he did in episode 1 to break Rick down, and it took him almost having to cut his own son's arm off for Rick to kneel to him and basically succumb to Negan's wishes. Daryl has had a lot of things done to him, and he's still not, in a sense, he's still giving Negan the look that Rick was giving him, and Negan doesn't stand for that. So yeah, torture, and more torture is what I can see for Daryl's future, until hopefully Rick's group come in like the cavalry and save him. So those were my thoughts on episode 3, The Cell. Yeah, as I say, it was a great episode, and I know that a lot of people don't really like the episodes where it's just focusing on one character and one place. But I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying it at the moment, and it is kind of keeping us in suspense, you know, as to what's happening with all the other groups. So it keeps us watching and keeps us wanting to know what's happening elsewhere. But obviously, as we know, the next episode we are going to go back to Rick's group. We are going to see what's going to happen when they go back to Alexandria, and it's going to be an extended episode. So I am very excited for that, and I'll see you for the reaction next Monday. Bye!